Okay, so in today's video, I'm going to be going through every weight class, starting at flyweight, ending at heavyweight. I didn't do the women's divisions because it just doesn't seem that interesting to me right now. So all the men's divisions, flyweight to heavyweight. Now I'm not saying these. I'm going to be going over every guy I believe will become a champion or is the most likely to become a champion in each division within the next few years. Now, I'm not saying these guys are going to beat the current reigning defending champion. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's highly likely you will see these guys with a UFC belt within the next few years. And some of these guys might be dark horses. A lot of them, it'll be like, oh, yeah, well, yeah, no duh. Of course, that guy's going to be a champion. Of course. So let's start in the flyweight division. I got Joshua Van. I wasn't really a believer of this until I saw what he did to Brandon Royval. And then I was like, dude, this guy 100% I feel is going to be a champion within the next few years. I mean, look, he's got great boxing, KO power, he hits hard, especially for a guy who's like only like 5'3", smaller guy in that division. And that was one of my concerns when I was watching him fight, guys like Charles Energy Johnson, sorry, who actually knocked him out. I never thought I would see him jump the rankings like this and have that kind of performance like he did against Royval. I do feel like I know the Royval fight didn't show it because he did get hit a lot, but typically Joshua Van is pretty defensively responsible. It's just Brandon Royval, man. He throws a shitload of volume, so you're gonna get hit by Brandon Royval. I don't care who you are, right? Now, wrestling defense, Joshua Van really showed this in the fight with Ray Saruya, because Ray Saruya, I believe, is like a world championship caliber wrestler, maybe even Olympics. I don't even know. I can't remember what they said. I haven't really looked into him besides the Joshua Van fight too much, but really great wrestler. Was probably shot 15, 20 takedowns on Josh Van in that fight. Josh stuffed a lot of them. And when he did get taken down, you would see him scramble to his feet or just be very defensively responsible on the ground until he was able to scramble up, right? This isn't a guy who accepts bottom position. He's going to hurt you on the feet. And when it comes to his boxing, like, he's shown really good cardio. Like, he can throw a lot of volume. Like, if you look at that Royval fight, he threw quite a bit of strikes in that. And he doesn't seem to slow down, at least in a 3-round fight. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, he hasn't had a 25-minute, 5-round main event yet. I think based on what I'm seeing, yeah, of course he's going to slow down a little bit in the championship rounds, but I don't think it's going to be enough to really impact his performance. If a guy like Khamzat Chimaev can be all right in a fight with Gilbert Burns where he's getting tired, or Kamaru Usman and still manage to perform and win rounds, I have no doubt in Joshua Van. So I think based on his skill set, I think Joshua Van is likely to be a champ in the next year or two. I'm not saying he's going to beat Pantoja, but Pantoja's 35. He can't do this forever, man. So I think Joshua Van was the guy up. I think he's the guy up next. All right. Oh, skipped ahead. All right. Umar Nurmagomedov, I got it, my bantamweight spot. Look, super competitive fight with Merab. Yes, he lost 3-2, but besides him, I've never seen anybody push Merab like that. Henry Cejudo had a good first round against him. Was able to take Merab down multiple times in the fight. Yeah, I mean, a big thing about Umar was like the cardio going into like the fifth. He did slow a little bit, but I don't think it was a big deal. Look, I don't want to take that BS excuse of he broke his hand and that's why he lost. I just think it wasn't the right time for him to be a champ. But look, Umar's got good striking, right? He's really fast. We saw that in the Sandhagen fight. He's really fast. Regardless of what happened in the Merab fight, dude, that's fucking Merab. The cardio king, dude. The cardio king. Of course you're going to slow down in a fight with Merab in the 5th round. Come on. Give the guy a break. So good cardio, really fast on the feet, good striking, good kick game. A lot of good body kicks he throws. Obviously, the grappling is what it is, dude. Right? The grappling is what it is. Khabib, the cousin, I mean, come on, dude. And that's a big part of why I think this guy's going to be a champion because, yeah, it wasn't his time with Merab in the first fight. I don't give a shit he broke his hand. It just wasn't his time. But look, he's only 29, right? He's 29. He's got all these. He's a well-rounded fighter. He's got dominant grappling, good cardio, and dude, he has guys like Khabib and Islam in his corner, mentoring him on a daily basis. He trains with these guys every day. You know, I know Khabib's not fighting anymore, so he's probably not there all the time, but he still has Khabib giving him life advice. At 29, you can't tell me this guy isn't going to be a champion in the next few years. I really believe it. So, Umar for Bantam. I keep doing this. All right. This is the first one that I think a lot of people weren't expecting, but I'm going to say Gene Silva for featherweight. You know, I was looking at some of the other guys. I was like, well, Movsar. I just don't think Movsar possesses enough of a threat to beat a guy like a Volkanovski. What's another guy I can think? I mean, you look at the fight with Aljo, dude. Honest to God, I thought Aljo won the fight. I know it was close. I thought Aljo won the fight. You look at Gene Silva, like, first off, obviously the KO power is there. Like, he puts guys away. He's got that. He's got that power. He's got that hand of God in him, right? He's not Ilya, but, you know, he's got that power. Insane confidence. You look at this guy. I mean, this guy's just constantly emoting on the feet, shaking hands with guys. Like, I mean, the level of comfortability and how at peace he is while he's in a fucking cage fight is insane to me, right? And I think that's his biggest attribute. Obviously, you combine KO power with insane confidence, you're gonna have a real nasty contender. Look at the Bryce Mitchell fight, right? Choked Bryce Mitchell out, had him flopping like a fish. Really good grappling defense. Was starting to really stuff Bryce Mitchell's takedowns in that second round easily, right? So I think that was a big question, and I honestly had Bryce Mitchell in that fight because I didn't think Gene Silva had the grappling he did. I mean, dude, it's not just it's not enough that he's just has good takedown defense, which he showed in the Mitchell fight. It's also that he's also threatening, you know, with chokes while you're trying to take him down. Mixed with trying not to get your head knocked off on the feet. Mixed with the fact that I don't think this guy's ever going to break, no matter if, and I'm sure that, you know, obviously he's going up the ranks now. He's going to be fighting much higher competition. He's fighting Diego Lopez next. He's the kind of guy that I feel like, you know, if he gets put into adversity, he's not going to lose his cool. He's not going to crumble, right? He's going to smile, and he's going to figure out a way to get back in and get a finish. So Gene Silva's the guy I think. I don't think he beats Volk right now, but this isn't about who's going to beat Volk. This is not what the video's about. I do think within the next year or two, Gene Silva is going to be wrapping a UFC belt around his waist. All right. Lightweight, Arman Tsarukyan. Look, I know lightweight's a bit of a tricky thing right now. You got guys like Max Holloway, Ilya Topuria, Paddy Pimblett, Justin Gaethje. You know, it's an absolute logjam in the division right now. But here's the thing, like, I don't think Ilya's going to stick around for too much longer, right? I don't think Arman's fighting Ilya next. I don't think they're going to give him that fight based on him sitting out. I know he weighed in as the backup, so he does get some brownie points with the UFC for that. I don't think he's going to get that fight next. I think he's going to end up fighting someone else, right? For a number one contender spot. But I can't see him fighting Ilya, man. I think eventually they're going to line. I think what's going to happen. I'm going to give away my next slide here, but I think Ilya at some point is going to fight Islam. I think Islam's going to move back down to lightweight, and they're going to set up a super fight with him and Ilya. Maybe he fights Ilya. Maybe he loses. He might. But I don't think Ilya is going to be around for too much longer, man. I think he wants a few more big legacy fights, and I think he's going to ride off into the Spanish-Georgian sunset. So, with Ilya out of the picture, and potentially Islam Makhachev having a few more fights as well. I know he's talked about wanting to retire at some point. I think Arman's the next man up. I mean, you can't tell me. Like, I love Max Holloway. You can't tell me he beats Arman Tsarukyan. You can't tell me Max Holloway deals with the grappling threat of Arman Tsarukyan. You can't tell me that. You can't tell me Paddy Pimblett is going to out-grapple him. And come on, Paddy Pimblett's a submission grappler. That's his specialty. Arman has a better specialty with grappling. right? And Arman actually hurts people on the ground. You can't tell me Justin Gaethje. Forget about it, man. Forget about it. Dan Hooker, all those guys. Dustin Poirier's out of the picture. You can't tell me any of those guys beat Arman. And with Islam and Ilya potentially out of the picture, and maybe Arman loses to either one of them if Islam comes back down or Ilya ends up fighting Arman. But I think he's the guy who's going to eventually bounce back. No matter what happens, I think Arman within the next year or two, maybe 2 years, I do think he will have that belt. I do. You know, it's tough to see him beating Ilya, and maybe he loses to Ilya and then has to come back and win 1, 2 more. Because with potentially Ilya and Islam out of the picture, who else do you have that is like an elite lightweight who can challenge, right? I mean, probably Holloway. So Holloway Arman for the vacant belt, or if Paddy Pimblett manages to get there. Justin Gaethje, I don't think is going to be relevant in the next couple years. So I mean, what else is there, right? I think he's the guy. I think he's the next best thing to Islam and Ilya. I think it's Arman. So Arman gets the belt. Welterweight. Woo! This is going to piss a lot of people off, man. Okay. Listen, I know the thumbnail had Islam holding up a belt, maybe insinuating that I thought he was going to win the welterweight belt like so many people over Jack Della Maddalena. I don't think Islam's going to get it done, man. I don't think he's going to get it done. I think he loses to JDM, and he goes back to lightweight to fight Ilya. So, you look at Sean Brady. You look at what he did to Leon Edwards. Nobody in that entire division is including Islam. I don't think Islam outgrapples this guy. I'm not a Sean Brady glazer by any means. I'm not. I'm not even that big of a fan. I haven't even seen that many of his fights besides Gilbert Burns, Leon, and I watched the Bilal one. Before that, the guy was a nobody to me. You look at this guy, the confidence, the cardio, the grappling. Nobody in that division is out-grappling Sean Brady. I don't give a fuck. Usman is not going to out-grapple Sean Brady. Bilal Muhammad is not going to out-grapple him. His striking on the feet, that is a little bit of a cause for concern, but you look at these other guys, they're wrestlers. You're probably not going to get TKO'd on the feet by Bilal Muhammad again, right? Sean Brady's improved a ton since that fight. He's decent on the feet. I know he kind of bull rushes in. He's a real kind of a shoot box kind of guy, right? He wants the strikes, set up the takedown, get you against the cage, drag you to the ground, right? That Gilbert Burns fight, though, a lot of it was spent on the feet because Gilbert had good counter grappling. And honestly, Sean Brady held his own. I know it's not the same Gilbert it used to be. But, I look at it I think Bilal Muhammad caught him when he's young. I think he's learned in leaps and bounds. He's that kind of guy that's always in the gym. He's always doing something. He's going on runs. He's doing marathons with Paul Felder, right? He's an absolute ox on the ground. I think he's defensively responsible enough not to get caught anymore. I think people are seriously sleeping on Sean Brady in the welterweight division. I think this guy ends up getting the belt within the next couple years. So that's welterweight. That's Sean Brady. This might piss a lot of people off, but dude, I just don't think after what he did to Leon Edwards, Kamaru Usman didn't do that to Leon. Prime Kamaru didn't do that. He pinned Leon down and choked him the fuck out. Leon did nothing. Was able to do nothing, was completely neutralized. Whereas with Usman, occasionally he was scrambling up, won the first round in that second fight with Usman. It was more competitive. It was still domination, but not like Sean Brady, dude. Not like Sean Brady. So, Sean Brady's next up in the welterweight division. All right. Middleweight. This also might piss some people off. Nasruddin Imavov technically is one of the best in that division. IQ-wise, he's one of the best in the division. This guy just doesn't make very many mistakes. You look at the Izzy fight. Yes, Izzy was outstriking him, but he didn't get... And the guy, that's the thing. This guy has gone through adversity multiple times. He doesn't give a shit. He sticks to the game plan. He's calculated. He's patient. He's methodical. And then eventually he snipes you out. Eventually he snipes you out. Was the Cannonier fight a little early? Yes, but he was starting to beat the shit out of Cannonier. He had figured Cannonier out. He was patient. He lost a couple rounds against Cannonier, but he stayed patient and he figured it out and started picking him apart. And he did the same with Izzy. Izzy was landing on the feet. Izzy had won the first round, right? This guy stays composed, and the minute you make a fucking mistake, he snipes you out of there. He's got good grappling. He's got good grappling defense. And yeah, man, he just doesn't make a lot of mistakes, and he has really solid confidence. Well-rounded. He's probably one of the most well-rounded guys in the division. I think this is a guy people are sleeping on. Not a lot of guys talk about Nasruddin Imavov. It's all about Khamzat. You know, Khamzat's going to be the next big thing. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think Khamzat beats Dricus. Right? So maybe that's a fight we could see, Imavov-Khamzat. I think Imavov is going to... I don't give a shit who's there. I think Imavov is going to become champ no matter what. I do think he's the real deal. And I think he's going to be the future of that. Maybe not the future, but he will at least hold that belt at one point in time. Light heavyweight. This is another one, man. This is another one. I think Khalil's going to get the belt, guys. I do. I know that Pereira fight was rough, and it's kind of a similar thing to Umar Nurmagomedov. Now, Khalil is a little bit older. He's not as young as like an Umar or a Joshua Van. And I just think with that Pereira fight, it just wasn't his time. I look at a guy like Pereira. Yes, if he's still around, that could be a problem for Khalil based on the striking. But Pereira's also pretty damn old at this point, right? He's 36, 37. I don't think he has too many fights left, honestly. And maybe you could avoid that fight altogether if he loses to Magomed Ankalaev again, right? I know that was a rough fight for Khalil, but Khalil gained a lot of stock. And if you look at that fight, he didn't actually ever get dropped. It was a standing TKO. He was getting absolutely murdered. His nose was just, oh man, that was one of the most brutal nose breaks I've ever seen in my life. But he showed durability. He showed he was nasty. He rocked Pereira at one point, right? Now, you look at his fight right after that, having to come back from that nose injury he had. I know Jamal's not the best look because Jamal's pretty flat-footed, but like, this guy can go 25 minutes without getting tired, right? This guy, it's similar to like Nasruddin. He's patient, but he's more deadly. He's powerful. He can hurt you with the hands. His kicks are nasty. We've seen what he's done to people. He's given people knee injuries with oblique kicks. He's given people knee injuries. Dude, he can either knock you out with the hands, drop you with the hands, or he can just completely demolish your legs over 25 minutes, like he did with Jamal. Like I had called in that fight. I knew he was going to punish Jamal with leg kicks. So you look at this guy, he's durable, mixed with the striking and the power, the cardio, and that kicking game is just, that's an X factor, dude. I think in that division, a lot of those bigger guys, they stand real heavy on that front foot, and it's prime pickings for Khalil to pick that leg apart all day. So I really do, within the next couple years, this guy's going to be champ. If you match him up with Magomed Ankalaev, which I know they've kind of had their thing back and forth on the internet, dude, I honestly think he might be a problem for Magomed. He can match Magomed in speed. I don't think Magomed Ankalaev is going to outstrike this guy. And I don't think Magomed... He might try to use the wrestling, but I think Khalil has good defensive wrestling. I know he hasn't shown it in a while, but people have shot on Khalil before. He's able to stuff it. So, I mean, I think he could be a problem for Magomed. I really think Khalil Roundtree Jr. is going to hold that belt within the next couple years. Now, last but not least, heavyweights. Look, man, when I was going through this video, I was like looking at each division, just so I could, really come to that conclusion of who I think is going to be the next guy up. Or not the next guy up necessarily, but a guy who's the most likely in each division to hold the belt. Heavyweight is just, it's brutal. Most of those guys have been in the UFC for so damn long. it's so lacking in talent that it's like, oh man. I couldn't like really pinpoint one guy who I think is going to become champ because it's like you have Tom Aspinall. He's going to be champ for years to come, right? He's going to be champ for years to come. Now I'm like I almost have to be hypothetical here. Like maybe Tom Aspinall just wakes up and decides he doesn't want to fight, or this one. Now that I think about it, we might have to extend this out, right? Let's go like 3 years. Maybe Tom Aspinall has a Cain Velasquez injury downfall where he just can't have the level of footwork and move like he used to. So I think if Tom Aspinall's out of the picture, or if Tom Aspinall somehow succumbs to injuries, that's the only way any of these guys are going to beat him. Or if maybe they get lucky and catch him. These are the two guys I think are probably most likely to hold the belt. Alexander Volkov. Let's be honest. He should be on like a 3-4 fight win streak. He got robbed from Ciryl Gane. Ciryl Gane's out of the picture. Ciryl Gane has no grappling. These guys actually have grappling. Alexander Volkov, I think, is the most likely. And I should have looked how old he was. Damn it. Alexander Volkov, I think, is the most likely. He's well-rounded. He's well-conditioned. You know, he has at 6'7", 6'8". His range is insane. Decently quick on the feet. Good intelligence. Now that I think about it, I think I should have I'm going to put Jailton Almeida over him. Because I just think these guys, no matter how good they seem, no matter how good they've looked in their last fights, I think standing on the feet with Tom Aspinall is a death sentence. I know the ground game isn't much better, but if I had to pick my poison with a guy like Tom Aspinall, I'm going to go to the ground with him. I know he's submitted people on the ground, but I'd rather try my luck on the ground if I have good ground defense like an Almeida, or really good takedown defense. I haven't really seen anybody out-grapple Jailton Almeida, so I would much rather take my chances on the ground with Tom Aspinall. I think a guy like Jailton Almeida is most equipped to do that. Look, he's shown great cardio. He's had 5-rounders with like Derek Lewis, right, where it was kind of underwhelming. He controlled him for 5 rounds. I mean, his takedowns are second to none, dude. He's got solid double leg takedown. I haven't seen a double leg like that since GSP, the GOAT. So I think Jailton Almeida in the grappling challenge he presents to a guy like Aspinall, if anybody is going to do it or anybody's going to become the next champ, I think it could be Jailton Almeida. I think I'll put him 1, so I'm not going to bother switching these since it's the end of the video, but Jailton Almeida 1, Alexander Volkov 2 if something crazy happens. All right, so that is each weight division with each guy I think is most likely to win the belt within the next couple years. Drop a comment, like the video, tell me I'm an idiot, whatever, based on the guys I picked. Yeah, let me know what you think. See you later. Until next time.